it seems like everybody has an opinion on who serves in a political office. This comes almost at every level, from the local all the way up to the national level. The thing is that the people, the very same people that are complaining and making these their opinions known, have the power to change. They have the power to go out, and they have the power to vote and implement the change that they see necessary. Now, the feedback that comes for these people comes in both positives and negative terms. The thing is that people need to get out and vote in order to know, for everybody to know what the best thing for society, what the wants and needs of society are. It's important that everybody gets out and votes at every election that they can. That way, the people that are representing society in office, in political office, have the best interest of society and of the public in mind. Now, one of the reasons it's very important that we vote and that everybody who has the right to get out and vote votes is because there are many people in our nation's history who have fought and dedicated their lives to ensuring that different demographics have the right to vote. Now, in our not so recent history of the United States of America, not all demographics had the right to vote. In fact, there were several demographics that were forbidden to vote, who didn't have the right to have their opinions and their say-so known. Sarah McCall in The Global Citizen shows three types of these demographic people that did not have the right to vote, and shows people who fought for these people's rights to vote. The first category is men that had no land. So early on in our nation's history, if you did not own land, you did not have the right to vote. Thomas Wilson Dorr from Rhode Island actually fought and dedicated his life to make sure that this changed. He was actually arrested for treason for his beliefs that non-landowners should have the right to vote. And instead, he implemented the thought that all taxpayers should have the right to vote. And because of his dedication, it helped Rhode Island and the rest of the country find that all tax-paying citizens, white male tax-paying citizens, have the right to vote. This segues into the next demographic, which would be African-American males that did not have the right to vote in our not so recent history, or in our recent history of America. Now, with the African-American population came a lot of very innovative people that helped steer the country in getting African-Americans the right to vote. But one person that not many people know of is Frederick Douglass. And he firmly believed that, just like Thomas Wilson Dorr did, these men were paying taxes but yet did not have the right to vote, did not have the right to make their opinions known. At the same time, these African-American males were serving in the United States military, fighting for the country, yet their voice was being obscured, and they had no opinions about who was representing them in higher office. And then the third demographic of people is women. Women had to fight for their right to vote as well, and Alice Paul was a female who actually went forth and participated in a seven-month picket in front of the White House to see this change made. She was actually arrested, but because of her dedication, it led to women having the right to vote and having the right to make their voice heard. Now, why is this important? This is important because it shows how important voting is and was to these people, and should be to each and every one of you. You should not take the right to vote for granted. You should have your opinion be heard and get out there and vote. There are many advantages of voting. It's a chance to be part of something bigger than yourself. Caitlin Bullington in IVN actually wrote about this and stated that, you know, it's very commonly thought of that one person or one vote alone won't make a difference. While this might be true in some circumstances, if nobody voted, then there would be no votes to count. Each and every vote matters because collectively they make up the voice, they make up the ideas, the thoughts, and and what is right and wrong in society, putting the person who's running in office that best represents the ideals of the people. Gary McGraw in the Parallax wrote over talking about not voting is not rebellion. Now, many people think that to rebel against, the standard order of things is to not go out and vote. This is not rebellion, it's only surrender, as Mr. McGraw stated. As you're giving up your right to vote, it does nothing to the people outside of you. You're just giving up your own right. So it's very important that you get out and vote. Also, Everett Vasquez stated in his article that Abraham Lincoln's quote that the ballot is stronger than the bullet. Now, this is a very important saying because it shows us firsthand how strong voting can be. Abraham Lincoln, a great leader of the United States of America, believed himself that rather than getting violent, rather than trying to instill change by being the loudest one in the room or being the most aggressive one, you could simply cast your vote and those votes can be counted to the people to find out what society needs, what the public needs, and who they need to represent them. Along with advantages of voting come with the dangers of not voting. Now, we spoke on not to give up your right or to surrender your right to vote rather than making a rebellion. Aaron McClell in Rewire News actually goes a step further and states that this is actually letting other people make the decisions for you. So it's something as important as letting somebody represent you. You're actually letting somebody else make the decision of who knows best what you need. And of course, all of you know that only you know what's best for you. So you should get out and vote and make it known to society what is best for you. Also, you can take away from the best candidate for the job if you don't vote. Each and every vote adds up to make the majority, and if you take away your vote, somebody down the road can take away their vote, and then the best candidate, the most fit candidate to represent our society doesn't get the job, and then we're being led by people whose intentions are not the best for society. Going along with the dangers of not voting, Erica Serino in Defend Our Future states that not voting is a forfeiture of our constitutional right. Just like the freedom of speech, just like anything else, it's a constitutional right that each and every one of us has to vote. So to not go out and vote is just a forfeiture of that constitutional right. And again, many people fought for everybody's right to vote. So it's important that we keep that in mind and we do not waste it. I have to ask you today, do you want to make an impact on the future? Do you want your voice heard, and do you want to make sure that society's voice as a whole is heard? You need to remain educated. You need to remain knowledgeable of where to vote, when to vote, the candidates that are running, and then last but not least, certainly not least, you need to get out in your communities, local, state, national, at every level, and when you have the chance to vote, you need to get out and vote.